When I started looking about organic production, the main thing was trees, shade trees, to come back with the native species. And we were looking to heal the soil mainly, to avoid the use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides.
Hello, everyone. You are now watching the Health First Coffee Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. As always, with me as my co-host is Ildi Revi, Chief Learning Officer from Purity Coffee. How's it going, Ildi?
Howdy, y'all. I'm super excited about this one.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for being here. And me too, Ildi. Today's episode, we've been waiting to do this one since we started the podcast. And now we are going to cover the producers side, which I'm so excited about. We're taking a trip down to Colombia. And we're speaking to one of my favorite people. He's an organic coffee farmer, and we're going to hear all about his story today. Please welcome to the program, Francisco Tamayo. How you doing, Francisco?
Hi, Jordan. Hi, Ildi. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited when I met Ildi and when I meet you, and we are all in the same circle of Coffee for Health. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here, Francisco. Thank you for inviting us down to your farm. I was so honored and grateful to be able to see it, and I'm really excited to share it with our listeners today. So just right off the bat, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family, and how you came to be a coffee farmer in Colombia?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, talking about me is talking about purpose. And I think that my passion and my purpose is being a hand to the farmers that strive day by day with different obstacles. I think that being a farmer is having a lot of risks and low return. This is counter intuitive compared with finances and other thing. So I'm driven to help the farmer, to give tools to the farmer, and everything that comes to my hand, I would like to share it with other farmers. So I started growing coffee in Colombia in 2012, but my family had already a farm there. But when I came from Japan, I was doing some robotics in that time. I found out that the Japanese consumer was looking for really nice products, health products mainly. And I came to Colombia with that intention, that to produce the healthiest coffee. And I found the farm of my grandparents doing different things that I believed were the right things to do in that moment.
And so you took that farm, La Primavera, which, by the way, this farm sits at 1,700 meters altitude in Colombia. It's one of the largest high altitude moorlands in the world for the listeners. So for those who don't understand exactly what that means, can you describe that farm and the landscape around you?
Yes, of course. Sumapaz moorland is one of the biggest in the world. It's an ecosystem of many different species, but the ecosystem has been harmed by gold miners and other actors in the value chain of different industries that has been threatening this ecosystem. But thanks to the communities and ecological farmers, we have been able to sustain this ecosystem as a virgin ecosystem, as a native ecosystem. So in my farm, when you wake up, you see a cloud of mist, and you even listen to the birds before the sun. And you start walking and you feel in a different place. I stay some time in the city and go to the farm. But when I go to the farm, it's like you take off all your armor and you can really relax. You can really feel that you are safe, that you can walk, that you don't have your cell phone or your wallet to walk to the farm. You just have to listen, to be aware of the birds, of the colors, the flowers, everything that you can see is like I don't know, for me it's like happiness. But I think that is an experience that I would recommend you to go and live by yourself, because it's different for everyone. But I think it's a positive experience for most of the people.
I could not agree more. It was absolutely tranquil when I was up there. But when you first arrived, it didn't look like it does today, right? Back in 1976 or when your grandparents arrived there, it was a cattle pasture. The soil was compacted, spent, worn out. Can you talk a little bit about that and what it took to take it from that into this beautiful regenerative permaculture farm?
Yeah, when I started looking about organic production, the main thing or the main obstacle for us was trees, shade trees. So the first thing that we did is to find what were the native species in that area before we deforest the forest, to come back with the native species and to try to have different type of trees. And we were looking to heal the soil mainly. We start creating compost. I think the bringing the animal manure, microorganisms, and to avoid the use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides. So, for example, nutrition with compost and some microorganisms to protect the coffee from different diseases and plagues and bugs and all of that. So we're focusing on creating the best environment for the baby trees to come to a good environment.
Oh, I love that. The permaculture starting with the trees, right? And then from out there, you have the fungal life coming back, you have the avian life coming back, which we're going to get into. Just absolutely incredible, Francisco.
But there were other risks. There were the risk of, for example, the lack of employment, the lack of labor, for example. And to mitigate that risk, we decided to have full-time employees instead of just season employees. And we commit with long-term relationship with them. So this was another mitigation strategy for risk.
You do a really good job of that at Finca Primavera because you support more than 20 families there. I see you do that education you talked about. You know, you do field days. You have a lot of values and principles that you operate by. Could you talk a little bit more on that connection, the connection between the people and how you treat the land?
Yes, absolutely. I think that if you go with a mindset of extract the land and extract the people and extract everything, and you leave the problems to other generation or other people. I think this is the mindset of the commodity coffee that is looking for efficiency, but something you're cutting corners and you're not taking into account the environmental impact that you are creating in your community. We decided not to extract, but to invest. So we are investing in the land, we are investing in the soil, but also investing in the people. That's our thinking, is to invest, not to extract. I think that's the mindset that drives us in the farm.
It's beautiful, Francisco. And that's what drives to health, I think, you know, in this modern, fast paced society that we all live in, you know, everyone listening to this podcast, I think a lot of people end up with a lot of poor symptoms of health from that lifestyle. And the answer is spending some time in a place like your farm. I mean that honestly. The connection to nature and the peace and the tranquility is really what people need right now. And Ilya, I don't know about you, but when I went down there and visited Francisco's farm, it was one of the most peaceful places, if not the most peaceful place I have ever been.
Well, I've been a few times, and in terms of the peacefulness, one of the things that I love is the bird life on that farm. And I believe you have lots of groups of people come to look at the birds on your farm, and you're also Smithsonian bird friendly certified. Could you talk a little bit about that certification, what it meant to the bird life, and how you achieved it?
Okay, yes, this certification helped us a lot to be conscious about what we were doing. Because we were used to see birds all the time. We used to see the red beard bird and the yellow bird and the big bird and the small bird and different kinds of bird. But we were not very conscious about what was happening in our farm until we met the Smithsonian Bird Friendly Certification, and they came to our farm to give classes for the community. We realized that this farm was the home for migratory birds from the northern hemisphere, and what we were doing was key to the survival of those species. So we start learning about those species. Could we improve this living time for the species that were spending time in our farm? And people start getting to the farm to see those birds, and that was also really eye-opening for us, and also an opportunity for getting income.
For those who are birders out there, Ildi, the birder community is a very fervent one, and Colombia has to be on your hit list. So if you're a birder, shout out in the comments.
The other thing about, as Francisco talks about the diversity, the biodiversity on his farm, when we talk about circular health, the health of everything in the ecosystem is important. And that makes everything within the ecosystem healthy, including the coffee. So when we talk about circular health coffee, coming from a healthy environment with healthy water and healthy soil, now we're talking about producing a healthier product, which goes back to what Francisco said when he was in Japan, people looking for a healthier product.
Yeah, well, we knew that our coffee was clean because that was our first intention, to be organic. It was we don't want to find any contaminant or harmful product in our coffee. But suddenly, homeopathic doctors found us and started purchasing our coffee to formulate it for their patients. Not only to drink, but also to detox their whole body, the liver and some other organs, using our coffee. So in that moment is where we were very conscious about what we were doing, and was that impact for the people. That not only for the clean coffee, but also to give the people the opportunity to use this coffee for health purposes.
Francisco, that's how you wound up on our radar. Is you're a producer who talks about producing healthy coffee, and that's not exactly common, and it's becoming more common thanks to the work that people like Ildi are doing. What does healthy coffee mean to you, and where does that kind of conviction come from within you?
When I came from Japan, I wanted to have a clean coffee. Just no pesticides, no herbicides, no contaminants put into the soil. But it was very challenging. We planted the coffee and the coffee was dying. Once I was walking through the plantation and I was praying to God, and I said, God, if you help these plants to grow, I'm gonna name this farm in your name. And like 3 or 4 months later, the plants were healthy and the coffee was thriving. So I named the coffee Cosecha Real because it's the royalty of the Lord. And so I think it's not only physical, it's also spiritual. That we can have another time to talk about spirituality in our farm. But it was a belief of doing the right things. For example, biochar. We found out, thanks to Wildy and Andrew and Purity Coffee, that biochar was also a material that we can create in our farm to create a structure in the soil for the microorganisms to live, and water retention, and more soil stability to avoid erosion, and for cationic exchange, and all of these processes that happen in the roots of the plants that makes a healthier coffee.
Well said, my friend. And I hear similar things when I talk to organic farmers, regenerative farmers, about this closed loop system, where the less that you can be pulling in from external sources, the better. And you guys really do a good job of that. I'd like to talk a little bit about carbon. I know that there was some work done on your farm using the Cool Farm tool, which is a carbon audit tool. And it was showing that your farm sequesters over 225 tons more CO2 than it emits every year. And if you extrapolate that out, by the way, that projects for the full life of your current trees 5,800 tons, almost 6,000 tons sequestered. Can you help listeners maybe wrap their heads around what those numbers mean and how beneficial that is?
Yeah, well, that number is really huge impact. I think it's like 1,000 cars extracted from the from the cities one year, and I think what we are doing is creating a huge amount of biomass. Our living fences, for example, our living fences are really live. There are trees around the farm, giants sequestering carbon every day. We have these cool farms that are sequestering carbon. So we are one of these cool farms, and we are not just taking into account the biochar. We're not measuring the biochar in the soil yet because the tool doesn't allow us to do that. Just with the biomass that we have in the farm, we are getting these numbers.
Well, you do have a cool farm. I can tell you that. We don't need an audit tool to check that.
One of the things I want to point out about partnerships, when we became partners with Francisco, you can hear from all of the information and his point of view, his experience, his approach. We have learned so much from him, and he has made a big impact on our company and our philosophy and our development. That circular health is, directly related to his approach. He demonstrated it for us, and we didn't realize this was what we needed. So the partnership is a very equal partnership. I am, every time I go to his farm, I learn so much. I'm just really grateful to be able to get to work with Francisco.
And that's what I really want to highlight with this episode and kind of illuminate to the listeners, which is getting a little bit closer to the places and the people that produce your coffee. I think it's the same thing that people talk a lot about with the food industry, having an appreciation for that steak on your plate. That's something that we hear a lot. It's even more poignant with coffee. It really is. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So I really want people to start to think about that, because what you're doing, Francisco, my goodness, it's God's work. Literally, it's God's work. So I just wanted to add that in here. And if we could go back to the farm for just a minute, I'd like to talk more about what you do out there, because it is rather unique. Can you talk a little bit about the beehives that you have on your farms and how biodiversity expands beyond the avian life and the soil life, incorporating all types of life?
And regarding biodiversity and beehives, we started this project because we were thinking about the impact of insects and the impact of pollination and the impact and the bad results of glyphosate and other products in other farms and well, many things that were happening in that time, that we decided, okay, we want to have bees in our farm. We want to have bees. We want to have bees that are protected, are drinking from organic flowers. They're not drinking poisonous flowers, and we have and we want to have honey to sell to our customers. We want to have also a good honey for my family, for the employees of the farm, and also for our customers. So we were very excited to have this project at the farm, and we are really happy to see that our employees buy the honey from us. They have an incentive to sell coffee and honey to our employees at the price of the cost. But wouldn't be ethical to have our employees drinking a bad coffee and growing a good coffee. So we want them to drink the coffee of the farm, because that is the correct way. That's one of the philosophies. We are creating our own vegetable garden also for the hotel, to be able to provide organic food for our hosts, our guests, and the people that visit our farm. So it's part of the thinking of how to provide products, healthy products, to the people that get to know us. So if we can provide good honey to our visitors, to our customers, healthy food, healthy coffee, the more health that we can provide through food and nutritious density, the better.
Okay, so you mentioned the hotel and there's a restaurant coming. Talk to me about the bamboo that you grew to build some of these structures. That really interests me.
Yeah, well, it's not a big hotel. It's 8 rooms, but it's a very cozy place with a restaurant. We can host like 100 people in the restaurant, but we can provide the rooms only for 10 to 10, well, maybe 15 people if you can share the room. And the process was to incorporate a material that what we were growing in the farm. We grow bamboo, yellow bamboo, and we wanted to use it in the construction of the facility. So my wife is an architect. She helped me to build the roastery in the farm, and that was the way I met her. in 2020. And she was very excited to build something like ecologically, like a bioconstruction. So sustainability and comfort, of course, we want the people to be there, to be comfortable, but also to focus on health. So why not to spend a weekend there and have a good massage, maybe drink organic coffee, eat healthy, and maybe get rid of your cell phone and Wi-Fi and your your every signal, Wi-Fi signal and all of that. Just to think about you, what your role in the world, how can you improve your life, improving the ecosystem, improving the life of others, and reflect in yourself. So that was where can you build a place where you can think about health and about yourself.
I think that's great advice. And I would just push the listener to, again, really consider getting a little bit closer and getting a little bit more curious about the places that your coffee comes from and the people who produce it. Francisco, this was an absolutely incredible, enlightening episode. I cannot thank you enough. Any final thoughts? Where can people find you? Where can people find more of your work? If you would like to share your social medias or anything, you can.
Yeah, well, first of all, our partner Purity Coffee. If you are listening and you can get Purity Coffee, you are not just helping me, but helping many regenerative farmers in Colombia and in different parts of the world. So you are like giving something good for the planet, good for the people, and good for yourself. You're drinking good coffee. And you're in Colombia, you can find us in Café Cosecha Real. We are really close to Bogota. We are 1 hour and a half from Bogota. Our farm name is La Primavera, and we can host you there. We can serve you good food, organic food, and you can learn about what we are doing to harvest and to grow, to plant this kind of product.
Like I said, you're doing God's work, Francisco. Thank you so much.
I'm just grateful to the work that you do and the support you give your community and your employees. It's just, it's inspiring. It's really beautiful.
Thank you, Francisco, so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ildi. Thank you, Jordan, for giving me this space to tell my story and the story of what we're doing, and the listener that is borrowing your ears to for us to share the story. And please share these stories because other people also would like to know about these initiatives.
Thank you so much for your time, Francisco. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Signing off now. This is Jordan River, Ildi Revi, and Francisco Tamayo saying, have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you next time on the Health First Coffee Podcast. Bye-bye, everyone.